Happy New Year. This is Kandice, the Preventionista, and during this episode of Mental Health Conversations, we will be discussing mental health and finances. I want to briefly mention an article I read by the American Psychological Association, written in 2015. The article shared that the U.S. economy has improved over the years, but money and finances are still at the top of America's list of stressors. So I want to, dive deep into that topic. Let's talk about it. How do you handle your finances? So today I have the pleasure of discussing this topic in more detail with Carl and Erica Oakley, who are here to share their personal experiences of financial struggles, overcoming financial difficulties, in singlehood and marriage, and the process of being financially free. Hi, Erica and Carl. How are you guys doing?
How's it going? Yeah, thank you so much. It's just an honor to be able to be on here. So we just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you again. Yeah. So, can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So we currently reside out of the RTP Research Triangle, outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I have a background in entrepreneurship. I'm director of human resource for a cybersecurity company, as well as I'm a military veteran as well.
Yeah, so like Carl mentioned, I'm an Air Force veteran of 9 years, and I have a background as an operations manager for an IT data analytics company, and am also an entrepreneur. So, but neither one of us, I will say, neither one of us have, it's just an honor to be able to share on this because we don't have any professional financial training or anything. These are things, what we're going to be talking about today, will be things that we've just have had the opportunity to be mentored by individuals who are hugely successful in their finances, and we've just been great students of that and have self-taught, have watched videos, have read books, and so that's where we're going to be speaking from.
Yeah, let's be clear. We're not financial advisors. We're not certified financial advisors. We do live a life of financial wellness. So we do provide insight to people when they want that tough mentorship of financial wellness and coaching.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Thank you so much for clearing that up. So let's get into it.
So how do you think finances affected you growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, so I was a single mom until about age 10. I mean, my biological father was in my life, but it really was my mom kind of making it on her own. She had 2 kids. By the time she was 20, she had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So that's a lot of trying to make ends meet. And I remember eating a lot of rice and eggs and not really understanding money, but understanding that we didn't have enough of it. And then she got married when I was close to being 10. And I remember even then, because my dad was in the military and he was low ranking, and he had 4 dependents plus him was 5, that there was never enough money at the end of the month. And so I just remember thinking to myself, I don't know what I'm going to have money, and I don't know what I'm going to have to do, but I'm not going to be in this position at the end of the month where there's not enough sugar, enough toilet paper, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
I remember grabbing stuff like toilet paper or even sugar and flour and keep it in my closet so that at the end of the month, I wouldn't have to worry about when I go use the restroom, am I going to have enough toilet paper? So finances definitely was a big subject in my mind when I was coming up because there was never enough.
Totally relate to that. When you asked that question, 2 books that came to my mind was Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki and Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And I just remember growing up, obviously, in, urban environment, Philadelphia, everybody was focused on, I gotta have this, latest Jordans or X, Y, and Z. That was the culture. That was the environment.
Right.
But everybody was broke.
Mm-hmm.
No one had an emergency fund. If, God forbid, if someone were to get hurt,
Yeah.
How were they able to sustain their current lifestyle or things of that nature? And then we had, it was more month than money. And that was always a challenge, just seeing how, dad provided, made decent income after a while. But I think what happened was, it was just like, here's what's important. Let me buy this. We're not organizing everything. Let's just buy this because we have it.
Right.
And we got to get to a point where, we're respecting money. We're respecting finances.
Right. Yeah, the key word there is respecting. You don't love money, but you respect it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, great. Okay, so the second question is, would you ever say, like, in your life, have you ever been an emotional spender?
For me, I was definitely an emotional spender. That's the reason why I was broke.
Right.
Because I wasn't operating off of logic. There wasn't no organization there. So I was emotionally engaged in so many other activities that wasn't beneficial to my financial future or my financial lifestyle. So whether it been partying, whether it been buying clothes and things of that nature, I was all over the place and just really could not see the future in sight when it came to financial stability.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was also emotional. I think most people's decisions are emotional. They just think sometimes it's logical. But at the end of the day, it's like it can be a positive emotion of something you do want or something you don't want. And for me, was that I did not want to grow up. I didn't want to have a life of how I grew up. So mine was fear-based, but it allowed me to become a saver. So mine was like, I don't want to go back to this, so I'm going to save. And so where Carl was a spender, I was more of a saver. And so I wouldn't even like enjoy like basic things that I could afford easily. I wouldn't allow myself those little small pleasures because I was like, no, I gotta save.
I think I resonate more with you, Erica. I think I'm more of a saver. Even now, I think at an early age I've always been like the type that is like store money away just in case I wanted to go eat some food another day or something like that. So when did you finally, educate yourself on becoming financially free? Like knowing that, had a vision, like saying, I want to get a house, I want to go to school, or I want to buy a nice car. When did you educate yourself? What age would you say?
I think for me it was mid-teen. What happened was I started hanging around cultures and environments that I really I just gravitated towards different cultures and environments outside of the one I was living in. So I said, man, I would ask people, whether it been the Jewish community or whether it been Italians who were like entrepreneurship, and at the time it was Asians who were big on education. I said, so what do your parents do from a financial perspective? And X, Y, and Z. And then from there, I just started tapping into books. I think the first book I ever read when it came to managing finances was Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. And I think it started my journey from there.
Wow. Okay. So reading. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think, like to Carl's point, that reading is such an incredible just an art, just to cultivate the love of reading, because you get the opportunity to understand great minds and different thought processes that you either didn't grow up with or didn't yourself know, because if you already knew it, then you'd be living that life. So in order to understand that thought process, you have to tap into somebody else's expertise and mentorship. And so for me, it was probably around age 20, 21, where my parents introduced me to a group of entrepreneurs and just the way they thought. And so being around that environment, they say that you are right now financially, emotionally, spiritually, all those different areas based upon the people that you hung around and the books that you read or didn't read from 5 years ago. If you want to be in a different place in 5 years, hang around different people, read different books so that you can be a different person and you can refine yourself and just sharpen. Iron sharpens iron, like the word says. So for me, it started around age 20. And by the time Carl and I met, or actually started dating, because we met a number of years before we started dating, I was already out of debt, had been out of debt for about 4 or 5 years, and was living a debt-free lifestyle. But again, that fear had caused me to not only, which was great at that point, had not only caused me to get out of debt, but it caused me to become very legalistic when it came to money, in that I wouldn't even go get my nails done. Even though I had money in the bank, I was out of debt and I could easily afford to go. I was making great money, but because that fear, I was allowing it to control me, that emotion.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So how did you overcome that fear? Or do you feel like even now, do you feel like, just in case?
Yeah. Well, I think it's always good to have a good measure of I wouldn't say risk aversion, but just take into account your whole picture, have those goals that you want in mind, you have in mind, like your short-term goals and then your long-term goals, and then make a full picture of what you want that to look like. But I would say, yeah, I'm more apt to probably save it, not for a rainy day, but just save it for maybe like delayed gratification. That's one of the things that we've really focused on in our marriage, has been delayed gratification. Like, we don't have to have it right now. We can put it off for a couple years, make sure that it's the right time, make sure that we can afford and pay for it cash, like we've done for things, and do that. So I would say I'm still a little bit more of a saver. But Carl, you know, I've learned from Carl, so I spend a little bit more. I think we've refined each other, and kind of we've learned to give and take in marriage. So he's become more of a saver.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I've become a little bit more of a spender. So we've kind of helped to mellow each other out in our respective.
Good balance going on.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a mindset shift. So it's like, you know, we change from, we do operate in what do we want sometimes, right? It's more so what do we need.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
What do we want comes like maybe once a year. Okay, you want a pair of shoes? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do we need right now?
Yeah.
We
Right,
need light
right.
bulbs for the house, or we need curtains.
Right. Yeah. Because it's not, you know, you don't want to deprive yourself either. So it's good to have that time where you can spend a little extra, treat yourself, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, we all are veterans on this call. Do you feel like the military has, you know, impacted your financials at all? Or like, do you feel like it helped you save? Do you feel like, you know, what you were in, you spent a lot of money? Or how do you think?
You know, I feel, and this is no shade on the military, but I just feel like in general, just the military culture and mindset is kind of, you got it, so spend it. And it's kind of like spend. And I don't know, I'm not going to put it on the military, but I think it boils down again to the people that you hang around with. If the people that you hang around with, and that's other military folks, are concerned about, oh, let's spend it today, or YOLO, you only live once, or that thought process, then, and you're hanging around those type of folks, then that's how you're going to think. And so I feel that for me, the military, and I grew up in that because I was a military brat, was kind of like, you got it, spend it, enjoy it, you know, tomorrow is not necessarily promised. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the fact that it's the military, and you kind of have to think about, you might be going off to war, or it's just a different mentality because of the type of work that you do, even though not everybody has to deploy or anything like that. But I feel like it's more of a spend culture.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, 78% of the nation lives paycheck to paycheck, and 1.3, it's 1.3 military members. So that's a whole active duty, reserve, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So out of what all the numbers of people in the nation, I forget how many million or billion of people it is. Yeah. But that goes to show you. So in the military culture, it's like, it is just a spend. Right. There's this misunderstanding that, okay, because I'm a certain rank, or I get a payment on the 1st and 15th of every month, I have it.
Right.
You must operate as though that you don't have it. Like, you're literally broke. How many times do we go to bases and you see somebody who's 24 years old acting like they just signed an NBA contract, driving around a brand new Range Rover? Yeah. Like, dude, where you get right? Do what you want. Exactly. Right. And you know, the challenge behind that as well is, hey, at some point in time, your career is going to end, and you'll take away, I don't know, 50 to maybe 75% of your pension, depending upon when you retire. But think about it, if you're living off 100% now, and then that's going to, part of that's going to get stripped away, you have to prepare to live off of that. Right. So the mindset must start early. So I know for me, I had a star card. I balled out, went crazy. You know, it affected my credit score. I talk about mismanagement of money. I mean, you surround yourself. You know, I followed the culture. That was my community. People who mismanage money in the uniform. So yeah.
You know, there's good points there. I think you know, I was able to save some money when I did, you know, do some time in Korea. So, you know, it's a good time to save, because, you know, you live in the barracks, you get food from the DFAC. I know it's not always your first choice to eat at the DFAC, but, you know, it's still free food. But
that's smart though.
Yeah. Do you think mental health is important when discussing money?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think that, I think you mentioned in the beginning of the show just how it adds that stress. And I know we've read not only books, but magazine articles and blogs, etc., that finances is one of the main reasons why people get divorced. They're just not on the same page to finances. So it is so important to be in a good financial space and in a financial frame of mind to create an environment for greater mental health. Because I mean, if you're already in a space where you're anxious or depressed about just life in general or your job or whatever the case may be, then you add the fact that you can't make ends meet, you can't feed your family, the bills are piling up and they all have red marks on them, and you got bill collectors calling you. Like, that adds incredible outside stress and anxiety that we can control if we're just mindful and wise in our decision making.
A great book I thought about too is actually two great books. So Emotional Intelligence 2.0 for people who want to grow their emotional quotient and be stronger in that area, and also too Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So Compound Effect. So you talk about making these emotional decisions. Well, here's what happens. Compound Effect. I make a decision over here, it's going to affect me over here, and in that same capacity. So if I'm spending money frivolously, whether it be shopping at the mall, whether it be or spending money on stuff that shouldn't be, it's gonna take effect over here in some way, in some shape. So emotional intelligence is huge. It's huge. I mean, because we want to make decisions based off of logic. We want to be able to take a step back. Self-awareness is so key. Okay, what position am I in? Okay, I'm at the mall. Do I need to go in? All right, let me identify what it is that I actually need. Before I just go in here and just start walking around aimlessly, right? So let me identify what I need. Okay, I need a shirt and I need a pair of pants. Here's my budget, less than $100. Let me go in here, I spend that, okay, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? That's how we make solid decisions and not get caught up in making bad emotional decisions.
Yeah, and a lot of blogs and different websites I've been reading, they say write a list. That's one of the top things they say. Write a list, give yourself a budget, no matter what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going on vacation, give yourself a budget. You don't want to spend it because you got to come home. So yeah, that's super important. So
here's the problem. Here's the problem with people though. People hit this joint. I ain't got to do all that. I got it. That's right now. But over a span of 10 years, this is what's gonna happen. You keep that same type of mentality, you keep doing that same process, guess what? Over 10 years, you're gonna be broke.
Right.
So it must start now.
Yeah.
You cannot sweep it under a rug. Trust me, I know. I was, and I'll just share a quick story, just real quick. I was in debt to a family member, over like 60, close to 60 G's. And over time, it was just like, I felt uncomfortable going to like family events. Like, I know I still owe this person money.
Yeah.
It's because I didn't sit down and set up a foundation to say, hey, you know what? Let me take care of this.
Yeah.
I was all over the place, making just terrible emotional decisions.
Yeah.
And it has such a negative long-term effect.
Yeah. Focus. And honestly, you could be working at McDonald's and still have a good budget and, be making it. I know people complain, say I don't got a good job. You know what I mean? We understand the struggles of not being able to have a good job, but you still got to be able to manage your money, whatever money you are receiving.
Right.
True.
So, yeah. So I know you guys are readers. You mentioned a few books. So what other advice do you have? This is the last question. Bring it home. What advice do you have people who are listening and to manage their finances so they won't go crazy?
So I would say start with a budget. Put yourself on a budget. A zero-based budgeting we found has worked the best for us, where you zeroed it out, set it up, you're getting paid in 2 weeks, spend every dollar on a budget, on a piece of paper, write it down so it equals zero, so that when you get that check, it's already accounted for. Every single dollar is accounted. And a part of that is, for us, we're very, tithing and offering is very important to us. And so that's top of the list for us when we do that. But also setting some money aside for saving, and then for paying our bills. So I would say, number one, get yourself on a budget. Start disciplining your flesh and start disciplining those things you feel. Discipline. Marriage in itself is very difficult, but then you add not being on the same page when it comes to finances. Very, very hard when one's a spender, one's a saver, and you're constantly clashing on no, let's spend, no, let's save, and you're just not on the same page. So definitely must be communicated, open communication, and just get on the same page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I would even add to that. First of all, identify what you want. You can't figure out where you're going, but you identify what you want.
Right.
You just want you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to be financially well off? Do you just not want to be broke? Or do you just want to be comfortable? Who cares? It's your life. Identify what it is that you want.
Right.
And then what I would do is find somebody who's already there. Mentorship and coaching. You know, the challenge that I have nowadays, I get so upset when people use the word mentorship and coaching because it gets so watered down nowadays. A mentor is someone who's going to challenge your thinking. They've already been successful. They've already accomplished the level that you're trying to go.
Right.
So they're going to challenge your thinking with questions, your mindset, and they're going to help give you some sort of direction.
Right.
A coach is going to drill into you. He's going to help make you better than what you are.
Right.
He's going to push you. So find somebody who's at that level or financial level, and get in their back pocket. I remember I met a guy who sold paper clips. What else he do? Did some stuff with newspapers.
Paper clips, okay.
Paper clips. Did some stuff with newspapers, and he also was like part of like network marketing or something. But the guy, he had a $3 million net worth. So I humbled myself and I said, yo, because I really like this mindset. I said, yo, let me ask you something. Can I ask you a couple questions? And that's what we need to do. Like, we need to put our pride aside, find somebody who's in a position financially that we want to be, and say, you know what? Hey, dude, I'm trying to get there. You know, I'm a single person, or I'm married. I got a family of 6, 4 kids. It don't matter. Yo, can you help me out? That's a question.
That's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So speaking of mentorship, do you guys have any kind of like side projects or business that you have going on?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked. So we're currently in a revamping stage right now. So KO Solutions, it's my LLC. We kicked off, and Erica's great support in that. And what we're doing is, it's going to be a bit of consulting, as well as we're offering some financial wellness coaching under that umbrella as well. So
Nice.
2021, because we did a little bit of coaching. Back in 2020. We got a lot of great feedback from it. So
great.
I think this is the time for us now to get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
To just really jump out there and add value to people. Seriously.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for being here. You provided such good, content, and I hope and pray that people can soak all this in and, go to work on their finances and mental health.
So everyone, thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in next month.